Hello, today is May 29th, 2024. I'm meeting today with Mr. Irvin Nelson at his home in Ault, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for the Northern Colorado Veterans History Project. Welcome, Irvin. Thanks for sitting down today to tell your story.
Okay.
Let's start out, if we could. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your date of birth, where you were born, a little bit about your family.
Okay, I was born in Denver, Colorado in 1935, and then we moved up here a year later. That's when my folks moved up here.
What brought them up here, up this way?
What?
What brought your folks up this way? Why'd they move up here to Ault?
In 35.
Yeah. Why did they come up this way?
Well, my dad worked at Swift and Company, and he had a chance to rent this farm. So, and he wanted to be a farmer instead of, he'd been working at a backing house. Oh, and he wanted to be a farmer, and he wanted to get us, his family, back out on the farm. And so that's why we moved up here.
Okay, gotcha. Did you have any brothers and sisters?
Oh, yes. I got an older brother, Herb Nelson, Russell Nelson, Earl Nelson, then me, then Leroy, Helen, Judy.
Oh boy, you're right smack in the middle of the crowd then. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you grew up here on this farm then?
Yes.
Yeah, and went to school in Ault and.
Well, I went to school in Pierce.
In Pierce, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about growing up. Some of your fond memories of.
Well, I remember a lot of things, growing up about the animals we had and, the things we done. And
Was it a pretty easy life, or were you was it kind of a hard farm life?
no, it was an easy life for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Of course, my dad was a farmer, and there was a lot of hard work, and but he had farmed before, and his folks bought a farm over at Severance, and they lost it because of the times.
Sure.
So, and then he went to work at Swift, and I think he worked there for 7 years. And he decided to get back out, and so he rented this farm from August Molander, and that's where we've been ever since.
Yeah, and then you eventually bought the farm, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I decided I was going to buy a farm, and so I started looking around, and Vi Darst was she was the keeper of the Molander estate. She called me up and she said, I understand you want to buy a farm. And I said, yes. And she said, this one is for sale to you. So I could only borrow about $65,000, and they wanted $100,000. So I said, well, my older brother put his name on that park, so he moved up the road.
Oh, good.
There.
Good. Oh. Yeah. Well, let's back up to your childhood again. So you went through the school system, graduated from Pierce?
Pierce, yeah.
And then take your story from there after you got out of high school.
Well, after I got out of high school, I I knew that I was going to probably get drafted into the Army. So I just went to them and told them to move my name up to the top. And that's what they done. And then...
Why did you decide the Army as opposed to the other service branches?
Well, I don't know. I guess I come from an infantry family. My brother, one older brother, he was in the Air Corps, which was a forerunner of the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And then his brother was in the infantry, and so that's kind of the way it went.
Okay. So how long after high school then did you go off to the Army?
Didn't I go?
No, after high school. How much longer before you went off?
Let's see. I got out in in the fall, or the spring, and so I knew. I checked with the draft board to see if I was when I was gonna go, and they said it'd be about 6 months, and I said move my name up to the front of the list. So then I went in the Army.
And the Korean War was going on at that time, correct?
Yeah, well, it was more or less just a police action.
Oh, okay.
At that time.
Okay, yeah. So now, where did you go off for your basic training?
Fort Carson.
Fort Collins. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not too
Fort
far.
Carson.
Not too far from home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close. Could come home on the weekends and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how was that transition for you, going from civilian life into military life? Was that much of an adjustment for you?
Well, it was. You had to be sharp. You had to keep your hair cut, and your shoes shine, and so that's when I went to the Washington, D.C., and there was about 15 of us that flew into Washington, and we landed in there about 8 o'clock, and they announced that A Company got to pick 5 guys, and so we were sitting there, and a lot of these guys said, well, I don't want to be in A Company. And so when the interviewer he come back and he walked by me, and then he turned around and come back. And he says, would you like to be in my company? And I said, yes. Yes, sir. So, and he picked 5 that night, so.
So you said you flew into D.C. Was that the first time you'd been on an airplane?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. And how was it? I imagine growing up here, you really didn't travel too far away from the farm, and now you're clear across the other side of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That must have been kind of exciting.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
Yeah, the airplane was, didn't have a, what was it, the cabin pressure, so you got a headache. And, yeah.
So now you're in Washington, D.C., you get chosen for this company. Take your story from there. What'd you do from there then?
Well, we lived there in the about 5 o'clock, and they took us to this room, and they said that A Company got to pick 5 guys, and there were, I think, 30 of us. And so I was sitting in the back row, and the captain walked in, and he walked through the whole bunch of us, and he walked by me, and then he turned around and started back, and then he turned around and he come right, and he looked at me and he said, "Would you like to be in my company?" And I said, "Yes, sir."
Yeah.
A lot of the guys didn't really want to be in A Company, but they went to other companies in Washington. So, but
What was special about A Company?
that's where the Tombs soldiers come from, and so that was quite an honor.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
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 And I became a tomb guard,
Ah.
and
Tell us a little bit about that. How did you train for that? Tell us a little bit about the training.
well, they would take us out and have us, transfer that rifle from shoulder to shoulder, and how to do everything, and then that was about it. We were.
But wasn't it very strict and very disciplined? You
Oh,
had
yes,
your uniform and your hair and you guys lived below the tomb, right? And was it your quarters? Where were your quarters at?
In A Company.
Yeah.
That was where we were housed.
And that's near the tomb, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of when you were on duty, how long would you guard the tomb?
Well, for 2 hours, and I went on guard duty at 12:01 till 2 in the morning, and then I would do it again from noon until 2.
Boy, there had to be some cold days,
Oh yeah.
wet days, snowy days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 24
Didn't
hours a day.
matter.
Didn't matter. Oh boy. Yeah. Do you remember any particular days that really stand out in your mind that were just?
No, I don't know. I guess you were so proud that you said, "I don't care what it's like. I'm going to be there."
Wow. And would they under your uniform? Would there be enough clothing and
Oh,
such to
yeah,
keep you
yeah.
warm and
Yeah.
in those conditions? Yeah.
Yeah, we had the boots and everything, clothing. Yeah.
Because it didn't matter if it was a hurricane or a blizzard, you were still
Oh
out there.
no, you were there.
And can you talk about the ceremony and I believe there's a number of steps you take and can you talk about when you're on duty what you would do?
Oh yeah, you would stand there and you would walk so many steps, turn, and salute the tube, and then turn around and come back and do the same thing. And yeah, I've got a book, showing, and yeah, it was real honor.
Oh boy, I'm just honored to meet somebody that's has done this. This is fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, I was the first one chosen from that company, and all the guys said, "Oh, you don't want to be in A company," and I said, "I do."
Wow. And how long did you train for this before you were actually put out to guard? Was it a pretty extensive training?
We done a lot of training, walking and stuff. And then when you knew what you were supposed to do when you were at the tomb, you were supposed to stand and count and then walk and turn and do the same thing. And so that was about it.
Mm.
But
would you be tired after that 2 hours? Was it
no,
exhausting?
Not really.
No.
No. I guess you were hyped up, so you knew what you were doing was an honor, and so that's the way it went.
Yeah. And then when you were off your 2 hour duty back in the barracks, what would you do to entertain and fill the time?
We had to Spitzheimer shoes and a belt, a cross, strap across, and a pouch. So we would Spitzheimer shoes and all that leather goods. And, you had the black polish and a can of alcohol, and you put your finger in the alcohol, and that helped the shine get hard.
Wow. How long would you prepare before you went out for your 2 hour duty?
About an hour.
About an hour.
Yeah. And so we do all that, and then after 2 hours we got off and went back and probably went to bed if we were on during the night.
Right.
So that's about the way it went.
Yeah. How long did you do that honor?
Well, gosh, I can't remember now. I have that book from the old guard.
Oh, okay. I'm kind of speechless. I've just I've done so many interviews, but to finally, you're the first one that I've ever met that guarded the tomb, and
oh yeah,
it's just quite an honor. To
yeah,
meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, I never It's something I never expected when I went in the Army.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. This farm boy from Ault, Colorado.
Yeah,
Who would
I
have
know.
ever thought? Yeah.
And you know, it said that they were going to pick 5 guys, and we were all going to be at 5'6", no taller than 6 foot,
Oh, okay.
5'11". So I was 5'11", so that's the way it was.
And did you get time off to go off and do things on a personal
Oh,
note? or-
yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was enough guards that we would serve about 5 days on and then 5 days off.
Oh, okay.
And the other 5 would do it. Yeah.
And from what I understand as well, being a guard, there was restrictions on personally. I mean, the way you had to act and
Oh yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you weren't on duty,
No, you just you done your moves at the tomb, and people would come and take pictures, and you know, there was soldiers from one of the states right beside Washington, and they were there. A lot of their family would come and take pictures, but my family was in Colorado, so
yeah. Well, but you're probably in thousands and thousands of pictures across the country.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to? What were some of the dignitaries that you saw when you were there for ceremonies and such?
Oh yeah. We went out to the airport and stood there when the president of Guatemala came in, and Richard Nixon was the president.
Vice president.
Yeah, vice president.
Uh-huh.
And he met that president at the airplane, and they brought him over and let him out of the car, and they passed in a review, and you know.
So you guys would do other things other than just guarding the tomb. You would do other ceremonies and
Oh, yeah,
events like that. Yeah.
Yeah. We were busy all the time doing something. Yep.
And is it true? I've heard that even though you haven't been a guard for decades now, you still have to listen to their rules. Or I think it. I don't know if this is just.
Yeah, you just kind of carry that honor with you. You know, you're proud of who you were, and you're proud of all soldiers, and so yeah, that's the way it was.
Well, I'd heard it, and this could be totally wrong, but I had read where once you become a guard there, that for the rest of your life you're not supposed to cuss or drink, or is that true, or is that just an urban legend? You're not supposed to. Once you were a guard, you took a vow that you would never drink again or cuss.
Oh yeah,
That is true.
you were required to be honorable, and of course, I followed the whole rule.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. Through the years, have you kept in touch with some of the other guys you served with?
No, not really.
No, no. Was there any sort of reunions that?
No. I thought maybe there would be, but I could probably go back to Washington with Dorothy and Robin, and we could go there and watch the guard, because they're still going on.
Oh, sure. Have you been back? Is it to watch?
No, I haven't.
You
been
haven't,
back.
no? Huh?
I was just going to interrupt.
Yes.
You had two soldiers that were your friends, and
Yeah.
after you got out of there, you got Christmas cards from them, the two.
Yeah.
Remember? So, and one of them, a couple of them came. Did both of them come down here?
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Do you have any desire to go back one last time to see it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to, yeah.
Like maybe take the honor flight back, or
Yeah, that would be.
that would be something to.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that.
Take Robin,
Yeah.
Dorothy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure just
And
the
my
guards would
sons.
like to meet you. You know, go back into the garrison and meet the.
Yeah.
Oh, they would love that. I
Yeah,
think.
go back and see it's like what it's like now.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
So did you spend your whole tour, your whole time in the Army with that, or did you get out of that and go on to something else?
Yeah. I got word that they were gonna come, and we were gonna get a chance to move on to someplace else, and so that's when I went to Korea.
Oh, so then you went. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And oh, that was Korea was just like Colorado. Same temperature. We're on the same parallel.
Yeah, right.
And so one Saturday, I told my buddy, I said, let's go to Seoul tomorrow morning. I said, we'll get up at 5 o'clock and we'll get out of the road. And he said, well, what are we going to do? And I said, we'll try to catch a ride in a Jeep. Well, they just pass you by. And this Korean bus stopped. And I said, the bus driver said, come on. I said, we're not supposed to be on a bus, a Korean bus. He said, no problem, come on. So my buddy got in the front, and I stood up by the back door, and all these Korean people were saying, thank you, GI. Women, kids, and, you know, you just stood there and said, you're welcome.
Wow. And you were over on a base over there. What were your duties over in Korea?
In Korea?
Yeah.
Well, I ended up in a line company over there, and we would go on out and stay in camp out for 7 days, and I remember one time it started raining, and we were sleeping in tents. And I was in my sleeping bag, and there was a drip hit me right in the face. So, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, when you went over to Korea, did you go by plane or by ship?
We went by ship.
And that always begs the question. Here's this Colorado farm boy going to sea. Did you get your sea legs?
Well, I got seasick
Did you? Yeah.
for about a day and a half, and I had talked to a sailor, and he said, "Now, when you get on a ship, you're going to get seasick, but he said don't quit eating." He said you may vomit, but he said you put some more down there, and that's what I done. But I knew there was a couple guys that got sick, and they were sick the whole 17 days going over.
Oh boy.
And they just turned white and I thought they lost weight, and it was really hard on them. But I got over being sick, and then I enjoyed the.
Really? Yeah. I'll be darned.
I remember standing out on the. Arthur White was a friend of mine, and we were standing out by the railing on the ship, and Arthur said, "You feel that ocean spray?" And I said, "Arthur, I don't think that was ocean spray. There was a guy vomiting."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Now, did you go directly to Korea, or did you make a stop in Japan first?
Well, we went, stopped at Japan, and picked up some more guys, and then we went on across to Korea.
And how much longer after the war was this when you were over there? Do you remember?
Well, this was more of still a police action.
Yeah. But the armistice had already been signed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you were just basically patrolling and just keeping an eye out. How close were you? Very close to the DMZ?
About let's see, about a mile.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I done guard duty at the DMZ.
Oh, wow.
And I was on this side, and there was a North Korean soldier across over here, and he was guarding that side, and I was guarding this side. And,
Were you ever afraid?
No.
No.
They had a lot of control over everything, so.
Wow. And how long, what a 1 year stint over in Korea, or how long were you in Korea?
I was over there about 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went over, I had already been in the Army for 1 year. So usually the duty, I could have stayed if I'd have had time, I could have stayed over there for 15 months. But I was only there for about,
So your enlistment was coming up, and
yeah.
And what was your enlistment? You were committed for 2 years or 3 years?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I served 1 year, 11 months, 29 days.
But who's counting?
I didn't keep track of the minutes.
No.
Yeah.
And every Korean veteran I've ever interviewed always talks about the honey wagons, the honey
Oh,
pots.
yeah.
You remember those as well?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And as a farmer, it must have been strange to watch their farming techniques over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was put out there at guard duty, and there was farmers that were planting rice in a rice paddy. So I stood and watched this farmer, and every plant was so far apart and in rows. And
They all did it by hand, right?
huh?
They did it by hand.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and well, they would plant that, and then they went up on the side of the mountain, and they started this water, and it went from rice paddy to rice paddy to rice paddy, all the way down. Yeah.
Mm.
And
Well, what were your living conditions like over in Korea? Were you in tents or quonsets, or what was the?
oh yeah, we were in Quonset.
Okay.
Yeah. When I first got there, I was in a tent. And for a while, well, we landed there, and they took me up closer to the top, and I was put in this tent, and there was a potbelly stove, and so I could sit there and guard, and yeah.
Well, once again, you're out in the harsh conditions again.
Yeah.
Because I understand it gets very cold there, it gets very hot there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was.
You didn't have an easy 2-year stint, weather-wise, that's for sure.
No.
And how was the food? And
The food was good.
was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
And what would you guys do on your when you weren't on duty there to entertain yourselves or kill the time?
They what?
What would you do to entertain yourself or kill the time when you weren't on duty?
Well, yeah. There was things to do. There was a movie theater
Oh, okay.
there, and a beer hall where you could go and have a beer, and yeah.
Did any USO shows ever come through?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Never anybody in particular that you remember? Any?
Well, I remember one down at Seoul, and the Kim sisters. You remember the sisters in the United States that traveled and sang? Well, this was the Kim sisters, and they done all the songs that they done over here, and I got to sit right up close.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So you finished your tour in Korea, and then took a ship back home, or did you
Yeah.
fly? Yeah. And that trip back was okay, or did you get seasick on that one at all?
No.
Yeah.
Coming back, I had no problems.
Huh.
Yeah, that was a real honor to travel that far on a ship.
Well, once again, here's this Colorado boy halfway around the world and in this
Oh,
foreign
yeah.
land. I mean, it.
Yeah.
Did you ever interact much with the civilians, the Korean civilians at all, or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah. When I was I was stationed about a mile from the DMZ, and we had a houseboy that he shined my shoes, washed my clothes, ironed them, starched them. When you had to put them on, you had to stick your foot in there, just keep pushing, push it open. They starched with flour. Yeah. His name was Han Kil-soo.
Did you ever wonder whatever happened to him? I wonder how
you
his
know,
life turned out.
He was probably 50 years old. And, I often wondered, what happened to him. And he probably lived his life. And, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was real honor to go to Korea.
Well, I mean, you were involved in two historical things: guarding the tomb and then guarding the DMZ. I mean,
Yeah.
one of very few
yeah.
people. Wow.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, Well, you see my book, why?
Yeah, we'll go through it after the interview. I'd like to
Yeah.
look through it and have you tell me a little bit about it. Yeah. So after your stint in Korea, you came home and mustered out down at Carson again. Where'd you muster out of the army at?
Well, I come back to Fort Carson. That's where we were let out of the,
Okay.
service.
Yeah.
And I just went down to the bus station and bought a ticket,
And came
got
home.
on the bus. Yeah.
And then right away went into farming then, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The bus come into Greeley, and I got off, and my folks were there. And
Oh. But they were glad to see you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
were glad to see them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
In those 2 years you were away, did you ever get any sort of homesickness at all, or were you?
No, I didn't.
Probably so busy that didn't have time to
Yeah.
think about it.
I made up my mind I was going to enjoy all of it. Whatever come along, I was going to participate in. So I enjoyed it.
That was a great attitude. Yeah.
A friend, Gilbert Lobato, he and I joined the Army together. He went to Seattle or to Washington, state of Washington. That's where he spent the rest of his career. And then when I come back and got off a ship, why, I went and saw him, and we went out on the Sound.
Now, when you were in Korea, did you ever get an R&R to Japan?
Oh yeah,
Talk a little bit about that trip.
I went to Japan. Yeah, they flew us across, and so I went up to Mount Fuji,
Oh, wow.
and Had a girlfriend up there. That's, Mickey was her name. She was a nice gal. And, yeah, there was a lot to do. So,
Well, I keep going back to this Colorado farm boy, but it just must have been exciting to Korea, Japan. It
was.
almost like landing on Mars, I would think. It was so
Yeah.
different, but
Yeah, you know, when you think about being in the Army, you think about it being drudgery all the time.
yeah.
But everything I done was a real honor style
Yeah.
rather than drudgery,
Well, there had to be some drudgery in Korea, I would think. That couldn't have been perfect
yeah.
conditions there.
It was cold over there.
Yeah.
And I was they put a bunch of us on guard duty, and it was below zero, and so and they hauled us in a deuce and a half.
Yeah.
And so many here, and I was the last one
So,
to get off over to, up at the tomb, and they took me in this Quonset, and there was a pot, one of them little pot-belly stoves, and it was cherry red. And so I sat there, and then pretty quick I heard a ruckus, and this soldier come busting in. He said, "Save me, save me." And I said, "Save you from who?" He said, "Them guys. They're going to kill me." I said, "No, they're not." And so he said, "Can I stay here with you?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "No, I'm supposed to, somebody has to be watching this pot-belly stove burn." And so I said, "I'm going to get some sleep." So I said, "You watch the pot-belly stove." And when I woke up, he was gone. And
I'll be darned.
yeah, those, all those Quonsets over there had two of those pot-belly stoves in the
Was that enough to keep you warm? Were they?
Well, yeah, but you had to pick guards on them at night. We had to take turns being on guard duty because in case one of them blew up or something, and they sit there. They were only about so big. They get cherry red from. They did put out some heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the summertime, would it get hot, very hot there as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. In the summertime, it was just like Colorado.
Oh, okay.
We're all in the same parallel.
Yeah.
And so it'd be 85, 90. And then when I got back and I was in that line company, then I went to do, they needed some people to go down to where the rations were distributed. And so I volunteered to go down there. And when I went down there, why, Sergeant Elliott was in charge. And he was from Cheyenne, Wyoming. And so he asked me, he said, would you like to work here? And I said, yes. So that's when I went to work and at the ration dump. And I thought, well, that'll be fun, issuing rations. We had this big dock, and trucks would show up they came from Incheon every morning, and they'd unload this stuff on the docks. And so then Sergeant Elliott said, Irv, you're going to work in the office. And I said, no. He said, yes. He said, I looked at your IQ. He said, you belong in the office. And I said, what's an IQ? And he said, supposedly that's how smart you are. And I said, well, whatever.
I'll bet they used that IQ too for when you got chosen for the Guard. I'm sure that was one of the requirements. So yeah.
Yeah, there was 7 of us picked for.
Wow. So we'll continue ahead with your story. You got mustered out at Fort Carson, grabbed a ticket and came home, and then did you take some time off to relax, or did you go right to work? Or
well, I came home and my dad was a farmer, and so I started in cultivating beets and driving tractor or all kinds of whatever there was to do on the farm. Yeah.
So you got back about time for planting season then, or when did you?
Well, it was a little after the planting season, but then the next year I took over and I planted all the crops down here. And
so just you and your brother stayed in farming, or did your other brothers farm as well?
My brother Earl farmed for a while, and then he quit, and I took over the whole farm. And
that's the brother you bought the farm with?
Yeah.
Okay. And what year did you guys buy the farm?
55.
I can't remember.
Oh,
No,
so
57.
So shortly after you got out of the service, then.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, let's talk a little bit about family. Tell us how you met Dorothy and wooed her and that whole story.
Well,
and Dorothy, you can jump in too.
I had a buddy that he works in the filling station in Ault, and him and I became friends, and so we got to running around together. And one day he called me up and he said, Irv, I met 2 girls last night, and I made a date with them. And I said, really? I said, you didn't promise them anything else, did you? No. So that's when I met Dorothy, and I was bashful. She was bashful. But we got along good.
Yeah, I'll be darned. Yeah. So you met on a blind date.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how long did you guys date before you got married?
Oh gosh. What, a year?
Yeah, we were married in April.
Of
So,
59.
we went out with him for a while, and then we didn't, and then he come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The buddy married his girl too.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
The
What?
what?
Gerald married his girl also.
Yeah.
He met Mom and Shirley, and he said, I met the two girls that we're going to marry. And
Yeah.
you guys went out,
Yeah.
and he married Shirley, and you married Mom.
Yeah.
Huh. So how many years you guys been married now?
60, what is it?
Calculator
It
time.
wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, 60.
60? Oh, I'll be darned. And we've got Robin here. Any other children?
And they what?
We've got Robin here. Is there any other children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott and Brian.
Okay.
All
Three
right.
Yeah,
children.
2 sons.
65 years.
Huh?
I think you've been married 65 years.
I think so.
Because
No.
I'm going to be 60 this year, so yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, Scott was the oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott lives down by, where,
Windsor.
Windsor,
He's over by Windsor now. Yep.
and,
Brian's in Ault,
yeah.
and I'm in Windsor.
And they all just help a lot.
oh, wonderful. Yeah. 3 children, grandchildren, great grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer.
Huh?
You're supposed to answer.
Oh, you can help out.
Now, Scott married Dana, and they had 2 girls. Help me with the name.
And Danielle
Danielle.
and
Danielle.
Shelby.
And Shelby. And then,
Danielle has 2 boys.
huh?
And Danielle has 2 boys.
Yeah,
Harrison and Archer.
yeah,
And then Brian has 2 girls.
yeah.
Abby and Liza.
Liza.
They don't have kids yet.
So we've got 2.
Great.
It's not
Greats.
just great. It's, what'd you say?
2 great grandchildren.
Great. That is. Yeah.
So 4 grandchildren, 2 greats.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Hmm. And are you still involved in farming, or have you since retired from it? Or
I still own part of it. And I farmed for a while, and there wasn't a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
So I decided to find something else to do.
oh,
So I went to work for an implement dealer up in Pierce, and so I got to find out what an engine was all about. So
how many years did you do that?
about I don't know, 15 months.
And then he said enough is enough.
Yeah,
I don't want to work for somebody.
yeah.
And then what did you do after that?
Oh, after that, gosh.
He did his custom hay grinding business
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I
for a lot of years.
Bud Wicker and Ault here. He had a hay grinding business, And he called me up and he said, hey, would you like to help me grind hay? I said, yeah. So we went and ground hay for, gosh, I don't remember how long. And then one morning he come and he said, I want to sell the grinding business to you. Oh, I said, well, it's going to take me a while to get my money together. And he said, no, you take over this morning. So I forget. You remember how much it was about $6,000 to buy the equipment. It was 2 tub grinders. So I bought those and I had, at one time I had 21 customers to grind for. All the way from Pierce, Nunn, Briggsdale, Gailton,
Oh, geez.
Gale, Fort Collins, and yeah, it was, you know, they'd call up and they'd say, hey, I need hay, and so I'd say, well, I've got 3 places to be today, and yours is the 4th, and if I get there, I'll make sure you got hay. So that's the way I done, you know, and I ground for a couple dairies up in Cheyenne, big dairies, and when I went up there, well, I would sit there all day and grind hay, and one of them was called the Fog Dairy, and they were good customers. They really appreciated you.
Yeah.
And of course, then I had small customers too, you know, that I may go grind once a week, and and yeah, when I went to work, the hay grinder lived in Ault, and he called me up and he wanted to know if I wanted to help him grind hay. And I said, sure. And so he told me, he said, no, I'm not going to do this all my life, he said. And one morning he called up and he said, you're taking over this morning.
Yeah. Then how long did you end up doing it for?
Well, till
About
what,
2
3
years.
ago, they got through.
He just retired about 5,
Oh, geez.
maybe 5 years
Yeah.
ago. I don't know, he's 80. He's going to be 89 this year, so he didn't have a desire to retire, but it was kind of time.
Yeah, right,
So.
right. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
wouldn't have-
that's,
If you had your way, you'd still be out there working.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
He
Well-
did some planning. Well,
you know, it wasn't long till all those dairies and feedlots, they started buying their own grinders, and so that kind of put a stop to
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
And I sold my grinder to a dairy, and
Well, it was time to rest anyhow, so.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we start to kind of wind down this interview, I know I've only got the tip of the iceberg of your story, but is there anything I didn't ask you, and I open it up to you guys, to any stories that I didn't ask about that he's missed out on, or if there's any other stories you wanted to talk about. So, like I said, I know we only got the tip of the iceberg, but try to round out your story as best we can, or do you think we captured everything you wanted to capture?
I always liked the story that he would tell about carting, being a guard outside that one building,
Oh, at
and you
tomb.
saw somebody come around how you addressed him when he come up to you.
Yeah, I do remember that too, where I think it was like a general or somebody that came.
And he stopped him.
Yeah.
He what?
You stopped him because you were on guard duty and didn't realize who it was, and you were doing your job. Do you remember that he was either a general or somebody higher up that came around the corner and you had to tell him to halt? Do you remember that story?
Oh, gosh.
You'll think of it in a while.
That's how it always works.
Yeah, I can
He stopped that.
remember.
Yeah.
Halt! Who goes there?
Was this at the tomb or over in Korea?
This is Korea.
Oh.
Yeah.
And-
You always talk about you really wish you could have stayed in the Army. But you had to come home because your dad was
Yeah,
having
my dad needed
medical
me
issues.
at home.
Oh.
And,
They wanted you to stay in the Army and you just couldn't.
yeah, I could have stayed. I probably would have went to OCS when I was over in Korea. The captain of the company over there, he wanted to fix it so I'd go to OCS.
Wow. Wow.
And
Well, he definitely saw something in you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he was a colonel, and he said the Army needs you.
So you thought about making it a career then, huh? If it hadn't been for your dad's health, you might have.
Well, I thought about it, but my dad health was failing him, and every letter I got from Mom was Irvin, Dad needs you here.
Oh boy! Wow. How come you, as opposed to the other sons? Why did?
Well, my dad's name was Reinhold Nelson, and I was named Irvin Reinhold Nelson, and so my older brother, he was named after an uncle out in Nebraska, and so, that's kind of the way it was.
You were the namesake.
Ah.
Yeah.
So you were expected to come home and help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you. Well, it was an honor to take over. And, yeah, I remember the day my dad died.
Hmm. Wow. Pretty close to him, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, my mother she was born in Iowa, and she was adopted by a family when she was 3 years old. And she called it her sister Helen, and actually they were cousins, but my mother's parents died, and you know, I've thought about that a lot of times, how often that happened in the old days, you know,
Yeah.
where people were adopted out, you know.
Hmm. Well, can you think of anything else we had talked about that you'd like to talk about? Dorothy, you think any?
I can't think of it. You pretty
Yeah.
well covered everything.
Okay, yeah. Well, the last question I always like to ask when I do these interviews, that time you spent in the Army, did that change your life, affect your life, play a role in your life, or was it just simply a chapter in your life? How would you answer that?
That was a real honor. I was proud to be a soldier, and I enjoyed 1 year, 11 months, 22 days.
And now he reads that book every day.
Yeah, I'll be darned.
He
Yeah.
goes through the pages.
We'll go through this here in a minute. So, well, I want to thank you for sitting down to tell your story today, but I also want to thank you for your service to our country.
Oh, you're welcome. Called
Right?
the Old Guard,
Yeah.
and that shows some of the old soldiers doing. They called it butts, where they held the rifle up here and marched, and yeah, and there's a picture of 30 wagons were numbered in a mile march, or long column, of the regiment on the march to Camp Perry, Ohio, 1921.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was.
So, according to that book, you served on the tomb in 1955.
Yeah, well, I done training at Fort Cotterson for Fort.
I don't remember.
Like 12 weeks, or you did your basic there,
Yeah.
and then so you were on the tomb. You had tomb duty for 1 year. It was a 1 year tour, or
Well, I was at the tomb of the unknown soul for about 5 months,
5 months. Okay.
and I went to the colonel and I said, I'd like to go across the ocean.
Oh, okay.
And he said, well, I would like for you to stay here. And I said, well, sir, I said, joined the Army to see the world. And he said, I can't fight that. So that's when I went to Korea.
Okay.
You know, and that was, that was an honor to serve here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also an honor to go to Korea and see how those people lived, and that was my intentions. Yeah.
I could tell that honor is very important to you. You were honored to serve there. You were honored to serve in Korea. You were honored to come back and take over your dad's farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there.
So are you in there somewhere? Is that one of your?
Oh yeah.
We'll have to get that on the camera.
There's shows the tomb guards. You know.
What I'm going to do.
Well, that is a, what does it say? Changing of the guard.
So that I'm assuming that's probably your summer uniforms. Yeah. Yeah. That's the caisson carrying the casket.
And those guys, right beside where I was stationed, there was this barn. That's where they kept the horses. And of course they would get them all ready, and then here they would come down, and we would join them, and then we would go on and into the cemetery, and a hearse would carry a casket in there, and then we would unload it out of there and put it on the caisson.
So not only would you guys guard the tomb, but you would help out with funerals as well?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I was one of them that fired.
Oh, wow. Okay. 21 gun?
Some. Yeah, I was. A lot of times I was in charge of the firing party.
Wow. I didn't realize the guards did funerals as well. That's pretty special.
Yeah.
And there you are, the individual picture in your company. Okay. So like you said, you not only were you guys involved with guarding the tomb, but you did a variety of other funeral services.
Oh yeah, we buried soldiers in Arlington Cemetery, and
Wow. Wonderful.